So today is Pentecost. And at Grace Church, it's also Youth Sunday. So for the occasion, I'd like to start out with something kind of humorous that I found. This is a texting conversation between a mom and a son. So the mom texts the son with some bad news. She says, "Your great aunt just passed away. LOL." So the son replies and says, "Why is that funny?" The mom says, "It's not funny. What do you mean?" The son says, "LOL means laugh out loud." The mom says, "Oh my goodness, I sent that to everyone. I thought it meant lots of love. I have to text everyone back right now." Bless their hearts, those poor parents who are just trying to figure out what their kids and their friends are saying to each other. And we're not there yet, my wife and I, because our kids are only 4. But since they're twins, we've actually had this problem for years already. We call it Twinglish, which is cute, but frustrating sometimes. So we get back at them by spelling, things that we don't want them to understand. But I think they're starting to catch on. Let me throw a few more texting abbreviations out at you. To see if you know what they mean, I'll pause for just a moment before I explain each one, so you can test yourself. OMG, oh my God, or oh my gosh. FWIW is for what it's worth. SMH is shaking my head. YOLO, or YOLO, you only live once. And similar to that, FOMO, or FOMO, is fear of missing out. Now, when you don't know one of these abbreviations, you might get a little FOMO, like you're missing out on something, not invited, not included, outside the circle of trust. Unfortunately, some of Jesus' disciples were known to argue about this very thing. They complained when a man was prophesying who was outside the circle, and they bickered over which one of them would be the closest to Jesus in his kingdom. Tragically, this practice is still common today, and it's called religion. So yeah, there are insiders and there are outsiders in the Gospels. But lucky for us, the story of Jesus doesn't end there. It keeps moving till we come to Pentecost. Just like today, 1,990 years ago, by my estimate. And all of a sudden, every one of Jesus' disciples was prophesying in a language he or she didn't understand. So they're part of this great miracle that's happening. But the reason they're speaking all these different languages is that so that the many thousands of Jewish people in the courtyard below, from every imaginable place on earth, can understand what they're saying about Jesus. Now, a lot about God had been lost in translation for centuries and centuries, but now it's in every language. And 3,000 of those people were baptized on the spot. So the circle expands. But then again, those are just Jewish people. You have to read the rest of the book of Acts, and really the rest of the New Testament, to see how, the rest of the New Testament to see it. But as the gospel progresses, every kind of person from every walk of life is brought inside that circle. Now that's amazing, right? But now what are we supposed to do now that we're insiders? That's where Paul steps in. In the 1 Corinthians passage that we read this morning, Paul makes it clear that we're not just invited to come inside the circle so that we can have status or so that we can understand what's going on. It's because we're being given a job to do. When the Spirit comes and invites us in, we're given wisdom. or knowledge, or faith, or healing, or miracles, or prophecy, or discernment, or languages, or interpretation. Now, maybe some people will get 2 or 3 of these jobs, but no one will get all of them. Now, I'll show you why this is so important. Close your eyes for just a second. Now, I want you to picture in your mind someone preaching the gospel. Do you see a pulpit? Do you see a robe or a collar? Do you see yourself falling asleep or doodling or texting your friend, OMG, this is so boring? Now that's a shame, because Paul is trying to show us that preaching the gospel is not the job of a priest or a deacon or a minister. It is for all of us. And we don't have to all learn to become public speakers, because we're all going to do it in different ways. And each of us is going to do it differently from one day to the next. The result, hopefully, is that when we preach the gospel to others, we can really speak their language. When the Holy Spirit came to the followers of Jesus on Pentecost, it wasn't just so the people who spoke Greek or Latin or Arabic could hear the gospel. Even in a group of English speakers, people speak different love languages, after all. We all have special ways that we communicate love to others, and special ways that we understand it when it's communicated to us. Now, according to one author, Dr. Gary Chapman, there are 5 love languages. I'm going to list those out for you here. The first one is quality time. Why not set aside some time to show an isolated person that you care about them? This physical touch. Now, this is tough right now, but make sure that if you live with someone, that you're taking the opportunity to give them hugs or kisses or a squeeze on the shoulder or a pat on the back, especially if this is the way that they feel the most loved. You might be the only human touch they've received in months. Number 3 is gifts. Do you know somebody who always gives gifts to other people? They probably receive love that way too. So send them something small and thoughtful and make their day. Number 4 is acts of service. Look again at those people you know who are the most isolated. When you're out and you're wearing your mask, try to pick up things that other people need too. Ask them if they need help with anything. And lastly, words of affirmation. Do you appreciate someone in your life? Make sure they know it. Text them and say LOL, which, as we now know, means lots of love. And now unto the God who has loved us unconditionally, so that we may love others with that same love, let us go forth and preach the gospel in every language, with our time, our touch, our gifts, our acts, and if necessary, our words.